Welcome to the Real Estate Masters Podcast, where we interview the top names in the real estate game. If you want to grow your real estate business, see more podcasts, or get free resources, go to www.remcommunity.com. The only podcast that allows you to directly connect with the guests and many of the highest level names in the real estate game.
You are in for a treat with our next guest. Do me a favor, subscribe to the podcast, leave us a review, and don't forget to go to remcommunity.com to connect with some of the highest level real estate professionals in the United States through our community and through our high level masterminds. Let's go.
Welcome to today's show. This is Tony Javier, your host of the Real Estate Masters Podcast. Today we have Steve Wible on the line here. Steve is a veteran, both in the military and in the real estate field. He's done hundreds and hundreds of properties. And I'm really excited to talk about Steve today because he's got a concept that I haven't talked to anybody else about. And that is how to use business credit to buy properties. So Steve, welcome to the show. I'm excited to have you on here.
I'm excited to be here, Tony. Thanks for having me, man.
We have a lot in common here. I lived in Tampa where you live. You lived in Carlsbad, which is basically San Diego where I live. So it's kind of interesting how we've, swapped locations like that. And now we're talking. So, so we started talking offline about business credit and that kind of stuff. And I'm like, let's just hit record. I've got a ton of questions. I've done a lot of deals and I've done them, most of them with private lending, which is basically private investors, individuals that are funding deals. And then I've used banks and my own money and that kind of thing. But your concept is a lot different. So I guess I'll first let you start with how you got started, kind of give us a background about you. And then I'd love for you to dive into the credit and see how we can add value to those that want to figure out how to buy properties with business credit as opposed to the traditional way.
Awesome. Okay. Well, in order to understand how I got there, you have to understand where I came from. Besides the Marine Corps, when I got out, my family had been in the printing industry for generations, literally generations. My grandfather, my father. So I understood that business. And in the manufacturing world, business credit is of utmost importance. You can't survive without it. So like in the printing world, I needed millions of dollars in credit from my paper suppliers in order for me to manufacture the product I was manufacturing and selling it to Blue Cross Blue Shield. Believe it or not, AOL, I helped them launch. Way back in the day. So we needed business credit to survive. Okay. And everything from boxes to trucking to supply, whatever we needed other suppliers to give us credit. And a good example of this is Walmart. Walmart was started in the 1940s after Sam Walton came back from World War II. And he leveraged business credit to get that business going. As a matter of fact, to this day, when you walk into Walmart, if you buy anything off their shelf, the odds are they haven't paid for it yet. It's on terms from some other vendor. So they've reversed it. Instead of a big company financing a small company, they've got the small companies financing the big company, right? Which is brilliant. So again, I understood what business credit was. So when I sold that company and went to my brother's house and sitting in his kitchen and said, I don't know what to do now. I'm young, man. I'm in my late 30s. What do I do? He said, well, hey, I own 5 properties. They're rentals. You should look at that. So I never even thought about it. I said, all right, well, let's take a look. And we started looking through the newspaper. You're going to love this because you're not old enough to remember this, I don't think.
Oh, I started in the newspaper 20 years ago when I started my business. Yeah.
Okay, good. So I'm looking through the newspaper and I see 3 properties for sale in Camden, New Jersey. And I grew up right outside of there. So we called the gentleman up, set an appointment. We saw the 3. They were kind of wrecks. And they were asking, I think at the time, $95,000 for all 3. So $33,000 a piece, $32,000 a piece. I said, well, do you have any more? Well, yeah, we have 36. I'll take them all. Take them all. They'll drive around, look at them. I don't have to get in them. I don't care if they're wrecks or not, but I'll pay you $11,500 for each one. Well, they took it. Now I had to find the money. So there's a reason I'm bringing this up. Had to find the money, found a hard money lender, a private lender that was willing to fund the deal, but I sold half of them prior to even funding for the entire purchase price. So I got in for free, basically. But now I had to rehab them. And because I understood business credit, I knew that I had to begin building my business credit profile so that I can get credit from places like Home Depot without a personal guarantee, from Lowe's without a personal guarantee, getting high limit Visas, MasterCards, anything I needed for ancillary products. I knew I could do that without a personal guarantee. So I began building my business credit. I got it down so systematic that I could borrow money from you as a private lender. And we all know how hard money lenders work. They loan you the money for the purchase. They want some skin in the game. They're going to hold back a draw for construction. Let's say it's 100 grand. They're going to give you maybe 5 draws of 20 grand each. You've got to front the construction basically. And then once it's finished, you put it on the market. Well, I figured, because I didn't want to use my own money, I'll do that, but I'm going to let Home Depot front the construction. I'm going to let Lowe's front the construction, and I'm going to use my business credit cards to pay my vendors, my contractors. Now, keep in mind, this is a hot market. You list the property, it's gone. So when I would get my draws from the hard money company, let's say it was 30 grand, I would take that 30 grand, divide it into 3, and go put 10 grand down on 3 new properties. So I'm already got escrow on 3 more properties using their money, not mine, right? It's buried into the loan. Have that property sold, pay off the credit cards, pay back the loan, always have profit left over, and then I've already got 3 more going. Well, I've made it so systematic that I turned over 300 properties in 2 years. It was like an assembly line.
Nice. Now, the caveat to that is, not over leveraging, right? You need to have equity in the properties you're buying, not just putting down payments down on properties that are already retail value, right?
No. As a matter of fact, you know what? There's something I heard from a guy a long time ago. I would go to these masterminds to try and understand the business a little better, because I didn't know anything about it. I just jumped in. And what I heard from a guy who was probably in his 70s back then was, you don't make your money when you sell it, Steve. You make it when you buy it. And I never forgot that. In other words, if you get in at the wrong price, you won't make money. Make your money when you buy it. That's what I remember. So anyway, the problem is, this isn't something just anybody can do. You can't just walk into Home Depot tomorrow and say, hey, I want a business credit card without a personal guarantee. They're going to look at your business credit report and go, no, sir, please sign on the dotted line. You're going to have to PG this. Because what most business owners don't realize is they have a business credit profile. You already have one. Tony, I guarantee you have one. Mm-hmm. If I pull it up, if you've never gotten credit in the business name, it's going to say this. This business has potential to be bankrupt in the next 12 months. That's what it says in your business credit report. And not because you did anything wrong, but because there's nothing reporting. Right? So the credit reporting agencies look at it as, well, they obviously aren't really in business. They're not getting credit from any other business. Make sense?
So I know one of the credit reporting agencies. Is there more than one of them?
Yes, there's multiple. Matter of fact, there's 3 that everybody will know of. Then there's probably another 10 secondary ones. There's a company called Credit Safe. They're like number 4 in the country. But the 2 that you really want to be concerned with, Dun & Bradstreet, which is probably the one you heard of, and then Experian, which most people don't realize.
Oh,
Experian
really?
They have a business credit report as well.
Huh.
Matter of fact, when banks look at your business, they look at the Experian report. So just like you personally have an Experian credit report, your business also does.
So someone like me that's been in business 20 years, I've got 20 years of loans that I paid off, all that kind of stuff. How would someone like me go back and get credit for that? Would I just go to Experian and say, hey, talk to my creditors that I've paid on time? Kind of talk us through that, because there's a lot of people right now that are probably wondering how to get past history on their business credit.
Well, the only place you can get past history on your business credit would be at D&B, and you'd have to pay D&B a lot of money, a couple grand, for them to put that. And then they're going to contact all the lenders to verify it. It's almost not worth doing, because it's like placing trade lines. If it's already closed and dead, yeah, it gives you history, but what you really want is organic reporting. And if you've been in business 20 years, the odds are you probably have something that's reported. Either somebody filed a UCC filing on it. There's something that's showing up there. You may not know it. Do you have any business credit cards at all? You don't have to tell me who they are, but so you have some?
Oh, yeah.
The odds are some of them are reporting. Matter of fact, here's how you'll know. If you go into your personal credit report and it's not there, it's reporting on your Experian, on your business credit report.
Okay, that's good to know.
So I'll give you an example of one that doesn't do that. Capital One Spark. They say it's a business credit card.
That's my favorite card. They give you 2 times points on everything.
Yep. But unfortunately, they only report on your personal credit. They don't report on your business. But Wells Fargo, Chase, they report on your business credit report. Okay, so it just depends on which bank. Not all of them report. Some of them don't report at all. But the real secret is to get cards, even though you're getting lots of points back, Tony. You want to get cards that don't report on your personal credit. You want to get cards that only report on your business credit, because it doesn't affect your personal credit score. We all know, right? You max out your credit card, what's your score do?
Mm-hmm.
It goes down, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
Now that was important to me because I was scaling, and I also had rentals, right? So I had enough rentals that, I had a property management company, and I wanted my maintenance team to be able to go to Home Depot or Lowe's and buy the material they needed when they needed it. So they all had credit cards that were tied to the company. I didn't want to max my credit score out if we suddenly had to replace an entire kitchen, right? Or, what 5 water heaters broke down at once. And with 300, well, you had lots of doors, with 300 doors, 5 water heaters going at once is not really that unusual.
So let me ask you this. So like I've got tons of bank lines. I've got, properties all over with local banks. So what would I do? Just go to my local bank and say, hey, you need to start reporting to Experian and Dun and Bradstreet?
Well, they may already be. You have to pull your report and do that. You can go to NAV and pull your report. I think they charge. Matter of fact, you can go to us. You can go to creditsuite.com/reports, and you can get a free access to your report. We'll give you all 3 credit reports.
Give everybody that web domain again. I'm going to write it down as well.
It's creditsuite, SUITE.com/reports, REPORTS.
Okay.
We have NAV integrated into our system. And they charge, I think, 36 a month. We charge 24 a month. They give our clients a break because we have so many of them, but the first month is free. So this gives you an opportunity to go in and look. You don't have to buy anything. You can cancel immediately if you'd like, but it's a good opportunity to see what's reporting, and people should check. Now, don't be surprised if nothing shows up, 1, because you have nothing reporting, but 2, if you've changed your addresses at any time and didn't update the credit reporting agencies, they may not know where you are. That can happen too.
Yeah.
All business credit is reported based on your address. So if your address doesn't match somewhere, let's say the IRS has, 123 Main Street, and the Secretary of State has a PO box, which God forbid, we're going to dive into that in a minute. And your checking account is set up at a different address because you never updated anything because you never really cared. That's problematic. So you have to make sure everything is congruent, and then your reports will match. And it's easy to update. You can go to DNB and update it online. It's really simple. Matter of fact, if you go to DNB.com, this I would tell people to do today. Go to DNB.com, DavidNancyBoy.com, and look up, do Dunn's number lookup. You can type in your business name and the state you're in. And if it pulls your information up, if you recognize yourself, you have a Dunn's number. And there's a little link there. You just click email Dunn's number and have it sent to you. Now, be forewarned, once you do that, they're going to blow your phone up. They're going to try and sell you something. All right. So you don't need it. You really don't. Now, you could do what we talked about. You could place trade lines there, but there's no real benefit. It shows a history, but it doesn't show active credit. And what happens is when you have active credit, they actually start recommending you for higher and higher limits.
Okay. So past history. So like having 15 to 20 years of previous history is not a big deal. They want to see what you have open right now that's active and being paid.
It's a combination, but here's the problem. If you're paying to have it placed, it's actually a dead trade line. In other words, when the contract expires at the end of 12 months, if you, DNB will call you and say, hey, do you want to spend that $2,000 again? If you say no, they're all dead closed trade lines. They don't report anymore. They're gone.
Because I had someone contact me that I did a private money loan with. I have a gap funding business, and they were the only one that's ever had me get in touch with, I think it was Dun and Bradstreet, to give them an updated report, but they'd already paid me off. So you're saying there wasn't really any benefit of that?
No, if I'd have talked to them, I'd told them not to do it.
Okay.
Yeah,
so
maybe
they were the ones, one of those that got sold on, hey, you need to pay us so much money to report.
Yes.
Yeah.
So
I think I've actually even gotten recorded voicemails dropped in my voicemail saying something about my credit is not being reported on Dun and Bradstreet. So do they sell stuff like that to you, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. So what happens is they look for, I'll call it borrower A, to pay them. And then borrower A has to give them your company's information so that they can get in contact with you and get the information. What they've effectively done is built a sales list. Borrower A gave them your contact info. Now they're going to solicit you to pay them. It's almost like multi-level marketing, right? They hate us because we teach everybody the real deal. If you have somebody like, I'll give you an example. I think I did. Chase reports organically to your business credit report. Ford Motor Vehicles reports organically to your business credit report. Toyota reports organically to your business credit report. So they're the things that we teach people. We know exactly who reports, what you can buy from them or what kind of credit they'll give you, and show you how to build a business credit profile that's considered strong. And strong is 15 trade lines plus. You may have it, Tony.
Okay, let's get into the nitty gritty of it. So let's say you get this all set up, right? And you got your trade line set up, reporting, all that good stuff. So how do you take that and go and find enough? Because credit cards, getting a $5,000 credit card, $20,000 credit card, maybe even 30 isn't that hard as long as you have decent credit and all that kind of stuff. But when we're talking about purchasing properties, I mean, we're talking about 50 to 100,000 to potentially hundreds of thousands of dollars. So tell us, once you have that set up, how you can get lines, what they cost, and all that kind of back end stuff, so that people can understand that part of it.
Okay, so here's what I like to tell people. Business credit is never going to get you an unsecured line of credit, never. And here's why. Because people like me are experts at building business credit. So not that I would ever do this, but there's sure people who would. I can build a business credit profile, get it up so that where I'm being recommended for $500,000, $600,000, $700,000 in credit, go to a bank, get an unsecured line of credit, pay myself salary $100,000 a month until the $500,000's gone, and go up. Company's out of business, shut it down. They don't have me tied up at all. That's never going to happen. If you're going to get unsecured, if you can write a check against it, they're going to tie up an asset or you.
Okay, so what is the difference between someone going and getting a loan with a hard money lender or a bank, doing a personal guarantee, and what you're talking about? Is it mainly just the fact that you're not having to do a personal guarantee?
Well, yeah. And here's where I was going with this, as it pertains to real estate. When I went and I had all my properties, I didn't want 300 loans, right? So I started doing blanket loans on X number of properties. And the first thing I did was pull my business credit report because I wanted the loan in the business name. I knew I had to personally guarantee it, but I didn't want it reporting on my personal credit at all. I only wanted it reporting on the business credit, which just increased everything exponentially. And that's what I did. So that's where I was going with it. But again, you're right. It's not difficult to get a $25,000 credit card or 50. Well, 50 is a little difficult personally. It's rare. But in the business credit world, it's not rare. It's not rare to get a $100,000 credit card. It's not rare to get a $100,000 line of credit from Home Depot. That's the difference. So where people say to me, oh, I need cash. Well, what do you need cash for? I want to buy the properties. Okay, I get that. You're going to have to personally sign on the dotted line, or you're going to have to get private money to do it, which is the better way to go anyway, usually. But when it comes to rehabbing, what are you going to do? You're going to borrow that private money at 18%, 20%? You could. You could rehab it yourself. If you're flipping, again, it depends on your approach. Are you flipping in a hot market? Use the credit cards. You're not paying any interest until the 30th day, get it sold. It just depends on what you're trying to accomplish. And again, this business credit isn't about real estate. It's about all businesses, right?
So most of the money you're talking about is mainly for rehab money. It's not necessarily for purchase money.
Correct.
Okay. So people are still going to have to go get hard money loans, but then, so the example that you gave, when you were waiting for that $30,000 draw and you said you took 10, 10, and put it onto their properties, you had already had someone fund that $30,000 in repairs, correct?
Correct. I had Home Depot fund it, and I had a high limit at that time. I think it was a MasterCard that I was using, that I was paying my contractors with.
Okay, I got you. So you used business credit for the materials, also business credit for the credit card to pay your contractors.
Correct.
Got it.
And then put the house on the market. Typically back then, 2 days it was sold, 30 days it was closed, on to the next one. By then I've already closed on those 3 new ones. I'm rehabbing those.
So what happens if you don't close on them in the 30-day period? I'm guessing you just make payments on the.
Yeah, you just make payments on it. Or I usually had it at that point. I had built it up where I had enough cash. I could have just paid it off anyway. And that's generally what I would do. I would just pay it off. I never liked to not have it available to me. But again, I was scaling. So I was, start off with 1, 2, 3. Next thing you know, I'm doing 6. Then I'm doing 20. Matter of fact, when the market crashed, I had 38 properties under construction.
Oh man.
38. My mistake was I went out in the suburbs. I was doing inner city row homes because they were easy. You walk in, I knew exactly what it cost to rehab them. And I said, well, I'm not making enough money. I'm only making 20, 30 grand a sale on a $60,000 property, which is good. I I went out into the burbs, started buying 250, 300, $400,000 houses. And then the market crashed.
Oh man.
Yeah.
And that was in
Eh,
that was in New Jersey, you said, right?
yeah.
Yeah.
I had one that had a 140-foot barn on the back of the property, 140 foot. And I went in and it had 1957 Chevy in there. It had old equipment. It just been abandoned for years. That's the only one I didn't lose on because I sold all the stuff in the barn. But yeah, that's what happened to me. I was out in the burbs. My wife was begging me to stop, and I was like, no, leverage more, baby, get more. So that's what your initial response about being responsible with credit. I wasn't. I was overeager.
Yeah.
But
But you also didn't know what was coming. I mean, the chances of that
no.
happening again is pretty slim, right?
Oh yeah, we were just discussing that before. I don't see that in this market at all. It's not even close. Back then we were giving money to people who shouldn't have gotten money. You had a pulse, you got a mortgage.
I think even if you didn't have a pulse, I think somehow people
Yeah.
were able to get mortgages under other people's names.
It was crazy. I remember sitting across the table on a settlement, and this woman, last minute, the mortgage company said, "Hey, you're going to have to give her a second mortgage," and it was nothing. It was like $5,000, whatever. I said, "Fine, I don't care. I had enough more." I knew I was never getting paid, and I was sitting at the table with her, and everything settled. And I handed her the keys. The title clerk walked out. The mortgage company rep walks out, and I looked at her. I said, "You're not even going to make one payment, are you?" "Yes, I am." 5 months later, 6 months later, I own the house again. She got foreclosed on that quickly, and I ended up buying it from the bank.
Jeez, that's
It was
crazy.
crazy back then. It was just insane.
Yeah. Well, hey, so question for you. So this could be really good. I don't know if you can do it on this, but I've got a big project that I'm going to start probably later this year. So I own a co-working space. I've got a 17,000 square foot building on a couple acres. And then I've got 2 acres in the back that I can do another about the same 17,000 square foot building on. And it's going to be like industrial, like flex space kind of thing. So a lot, I mean, there's going to be labor involved in that, but there's going to be a lot of materials for that too. So I can go get a bank loan and have them fund it, 5-6% interest, whatever it is. May have to put 20% down. It's going to be a multi-million-dollar project. So something like that, do you see me being able to do a project like that where I could fund a lot of materials on credit lines, knowing that it's probably going to be a 6-month project at least?
No, I don't think I would. Here's how I like to describe business credit. Business credit is credit that you're going to want to use in your day-to-day operations. For example, is that an office you're sitting in right now or your house?
It's an office.
Perfect. Okay. So if you needed furniture for your office, you should get that. Don't use personal credit cards. Use either a business credit card if you already have one, or go get Staples to give you $10,000 in credit, which they will. They'll give it in the business name. Truck drivers, they need it for fuel. Like they're spending 10 grand a month on fuel every month. They should get credit cards in the company name from the fuel suppliers to buy that fuel. Real estate, you guys, you're dealing with masters, your audience are higher level, but beginners really need business credit because most of them have no cash, right? Most of them they're just getting into it and they're not sure how they're going to do it. But it's really, business credit is, better description would be corporate credit. You've probably heard of that. Right, so corporate credit, you're building that building, and let's say you want to advertise and you want to print 1 million flyers. I own a printing company. You come to me and say, "Steve, I want to print 1 million flyers." I say, "Great, Tony, it's $150,000." And you say, "Yeah, I need terms on that. I need 45-day terms." You fill out a credit application. I pull your Dun & Bradstreet file. I go, "Yeah, you're solid. I'll give you the 45-day terms." That's corporate credit.
Can you use it for media too? Because
Absolutely.
I've got a TV program where I implement and buy media, TV commercials for real estate investors around the country. And one of the things we have issues with is they don't have media credit. And so the media company will make them pay up front. So for us, it's hard because we have to get 3 checks from the investors up front so that we can pay, so it's, so something like that, they could go to the Dun & Bradstreet or some kind of credit bureau and hopefully maybe use the business credit that way.
That's exactly right. Matter of fact, it's funny you bring that up. My biggest customers were advertising agencies, and they always wanted terms. They never wanted to pay up front because they were giving terms to their clients. Right? Same, you're literally dealing with what I'm talking about.
Interesting. Okay. That could be a game changer for that company for sure. Because if we don't have to collect 3 checks up front for, dozens of investors at a time.
Yeah. You just got to build up a profile where people are comfortable giving you access to their product, service, whatever it is, without you paying up front. That's really what it boils down to. I can tell you the government won't do business with you if you don't have a strong business credit profile. They won't, or they will on a very small scale. When I was doing work for the government, I kept asking the head of purchasing, why am I not getting bigger projects? She said, well, we pulled your DMB. It's kind of weak. Just give me 6 months. 6 months later, I was doing $1 million projects. I just had to build that profile a little strong. I didn't realize that the government was pulling our profile. So, and customers can pull your profile. If I wanted to, Tony, if you wanted me to, let's say, invest in that 17,000 square foot building, first thing I would do is pull your business credit profile and see, do you pay your bills?
Are you talking about as a bank or as an individual?
Either. I'm going to pull.
There's not too many individuals that would pull it. Now, maybe you're different, where if you lent on a project, you'd want to pull it. But I could see it being beneficial, especially if, like, so let's say you go to a local bank and they pull your personal credit. But if you went to them and said, hey, by the way, here's my business credit, you're saying that
Correct.
That would go even further.
Exactly. I'll give you a one final example. I had a good friend who owned, he owned some real estate, but he had a fruit and vegetable stand in the winter and an ice cream stand in the summer up in Boston. And he was doing really well. I mean, he was doing probably 400,000 per year on both. So 6 months, he's turning 400 grand. 780 credit score. So he had great credit, good P&L, applied for an SBA loan for 50 grand. That's it. Not this SBA thing we just did this year. I'm talking about a normal SBA loan, before all this stuff happened. They denied him. And he came to me, he goes, I don't understand. Why was I denied? I said, well, what's your business credit profile look? He's like, what's that? So I said, let's pull it. There was nothing there. I said, this is your problem. I said, why don't you build this? And I showed him how to do it. He went back 9 months later, applied again, and got an automated approval for 100 grand. He only wanted 50. Got an automated $100,000 approval. You think that was a game changer for him?
From an SBA or somewhere else?
For SBA.
Oh, really?
Same thing. Went to this. Matter of fact, the loan officer for the bank, because banks are actually the ones who fund it, not the SBA directly. And the loan officer said, I don't understand. I remember you got turned down for 50 grand. How were you able to get an automated 100,000? She had no idea. They don't even teach the loan officers this. So it was a game changer. And I'll give you another example where they don't teach. I was standing at Sam's Club. You know what Sam's Club is, right?
Oh, yeah.
So I'm standing at Sam's Club and I'm listening to a woman apply for a MasterCard. Sam's Club has a MasterCard for business. They have two versions. They have the in-house one where you only can spend it there. And then they have the traveling version, which you can use anywhere. So she's applying and she leaves her social off the application. And I'm standing right behind her. And the rep at Sam's Club says, no, I need your social right here. She's pointing down to the application. And the woman says, no, you don't. Run it that way. Send it into the bank. She looked at her like she had three heads, but she did it. Now I know exactly that this woman must be a customer because of the words she's using, the things she's saying. About 5 minutes later, the rep's on the phone again and with the bank, and she turns around and says, no, the bank wants to talk to you. They need your social. She said, no, you don't. Tell them to run it the way it is. It's Synchrony Bank was the underwriter. 5 minutes, maybe 6 minutes later, she's approved for 25 grand. Now, here's the whole point of the story. The customer service rep at Sam's didn't understand, and the lender, the rep at the lender didn't understand. They don't even teach them. Now, why? Why do you think they don't teach them? They don't want them to know about it. They don't want you to know about it. If they can get you to personally guarantee it, they're good.
Right.
So this woman got a $25,000 credit card for business without a personal guarantee, and only because she understood the process and how it works.
So just to wrap up here, it sounds like this is a great way to get, business lines. So it's not on your credit. It hopefully improves your personal credit, because if you're tying up these lines, then it's not showing as high credit or high percentage of credit. Correct. Based on how much you have of credit. But the thing most, I think that I'm trying to understand and make sure I understand is that this is more for people that are probably a little more cash strapped, where they just need that 30, 45 day, maybe even 60-day period of money to be able to do deals, turn the money, and use that money to leverage to make more money.
Exactly. That's right? Exactly what I would use it for. If I was doing real estate like I was before, I would set it up exactly the same way.
Gotcha.
because
Gotcha.
I like to keep my cash in the bank if I don't have to spend it.
Yeah. Yeah. And even on projects, like you said, I mean, you can borrow the money at a higher rate, but if you can get these lines, and when you get these lines, if you pay them off in 30 days, you're not really paying interest, right? Just like a normal credit card,
Right.
right?
Exactly.
So then
Exactly.
so if you're doing that on multiple projects, you're saving hundreds, if not thousands of dollars a month on holding fees, and that makes projects more profitable.
Exactly. Exactly. And since you're technically paying cash for the product, right? Because you're swiping a credit card, you negotiate better deals.
And do you get points on those too?
Oh yeah.
Still get
Some
points.
some you can. You get points. You get all kinds of things. You get cash back. There's a million ways to skin the cat, so to speak, but it's just good to have the options.
Yeah, I
And,
love saving money, but my wife loves the points because she can book travel. We have like 1 million credit card points right now because of COVID. We haven't traveled as much, and she's like, "What can we do with these points?"
See,
So,
I'm all about the cash back, baby. Give me that cash. I'm a Capital One freak, even though I know they're a bad card to have for business. As soon as I saw a new card come out, it was 5% back at the grocery store. I'm like, give me that card.
Amazon card, yeah,
Yeah,
Amazon Whole Foods card, man, 5% cash back. Heck yeah.
that's it. And I handed it right to my wife. I said, "This is your new credit card. That's what you use." But anyway, and look, here's the thing: anybody can build business credit. Anybody. If you start an LLC today, you can begin building business credit. So even your listeners out there are thinking about getting into this, start an LLC. It has to be an LLC or better. It can't be a sole proprietor because that becomes personal credit, right? Because you are the business.
Yeah.
You can begin almost immediately, but you've got to understand the fundamentals, which is setting yourself up to look professional. In other words, I don't want to hear ibuyhouses@gmail.com. I want to hear info@ibuyhouses.com, right? Or whatever your URL is. I deal with this every day, and I'm going to tell you 99 out of 100 business owners I talk to have a Gmail or a Yahoo account. I'm always embarrassed for them. Like lenders look at that and go, a little concerned.
Mm-hmm.
Have a real address. Don't use a PO box. Real estate investors fall down on this all the time. Have a real address, either a commercial building, one you own, hopefully, or a virtual office or your home. Do not use a PO box. Don't use iPostal. Don't use anything that looks like a storefront, because that's an automatic red flag for fraud. Automatic.
Yeah.
There's phone numbers. Almost every real estate investor I talk to, when I ask for their business phone, they give me what? What do you think they give me?
Cell phone number.
Of course they do.
Yeah.
Here's the problem. There's something that's been around a long time. You remember it because you remember newspapers. It was called the National 411 Database.
I thought you were going to say phone books.
Yeah, well, technically, yes. But this is the digital one where you dialed 411 and you asked for Joe's Pizza up the street, and they connected you and gave you the phone number. Remember that?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Well, that database still exists. You can't list a cell phone there. You can only list a real phone. So the problem is nobody wants to put a phone on their desk. What do? Well, the answer is obvious. You get a voice over IP, but not Google Voice. Google owns that number. You do not. So if you try to list it, it comes up as Google. Go to a company like Ring Central, Grasshopper, get yourself an 800 number or a local number, a few bucks a month. You own that number forever. It's a great marketing tool anyway. And then that's listable with the National 411 database. That takes your credibility factors up times 10. When a bank searches, they see you listed the National 411 database, you're legitimately in business in their eyes.
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay.
Well, good stuff, Steve. We got to wrap up here. How can people find you? You already gave a website. Is that the domain you want them to go to?
No, actually, what I'd like them to do is go to creditsuite.com, and I'll message this to you. Let me give you the exact one. I believe it's /podcast. It is /pod, POD-EIN. So creditsuite.com /POD-EIN. And they're going to get, what they're going to get there is a free guide on how to start building your business credit. Nobody's going to call you. Just going to get a free guide.
All right, cool. Awesome. Good stuff. Well, I'm going to get my teams looking into this. I'll probably call my banks or just email them and say, hey, you need to start reporting to the bureaus and see how that goes and see if we can start building some credit that way and get some more lines set up.
Yeah, go get your free report. You may already have more than you realize.
Cool. Good stuff, Steve. I appreciate your time. And yeah, good luck to you. Let's reconnect. And if you're in Carlsbad or San Diego, hit me up and we'll meet up.
I'm going surfing, baby.
All right, let's do it.
Thanks, Tony.
All right, see you, bud. Thanks for listening. Now go to www.remcommunity.com to connect with today's guest, see our high-level masterminds, and to get free resources. Don't forget to share this with a friend and leave us a 5-star review. We'll see you on the next episode.